Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Perez-Peri. I serve as chair of the Historic Districts Commission in Concord. Welcome to the July 20th, 2023 meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review one continuance and 5 new applications. We will also conduct some additional business at the end of the meeting. We're conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking, and in order to preserve bandwidth, and may need to turn off video with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. I will call on each commissioner for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject. A second, and then conduct a roll call vote. Once the commissioner has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. We will do a roll call of the members of the commission. Kate Schartner.
Here.
Walter Clay.
Here.
Melinda Shumway.
Here.
Paul Ware.
Here.
Timothy Whitney.
Just barely made it. I'm here.
And Luis Perez-Peri is here. I understand that Dennis Fiore, Bill Hewitt, and Catherine Mast will not be present today. So voting members for this meeting will be the full members: Kate Schartner, Melinda Shumway, Paul Ware, and myself, and Timothy Whitney. So we will then proceed to the first application, which is Boynton Brennan Builders, 155 Monmouth Street, install new lighting. Is Mr. Brennan here?
I need my glasses too. Thank you. I need my glasses. Thank you.
Is the applicant? Oh, Mr. Brennan, how are you? Welcome. You are muted. You are still muted. Can we unmute Mr. Brennan, Anne?
Thank you, sweetheart.
Hello?
Okay, now you are okay. Now we can hear
Oh, thanks.
you. Welcome to the meeting. If you were so kind to present your project, what are you planning to do?
Yes, so there was some lights that were approved originally, but they didn't really work out very well. So we modified to the 2 front porches to recessed lights, and also the back porch and the side porch and the rear porch. They're all recessed now, which I submitted yesterday, a new light fixture, because I guess the one that we submitted originally was too powerful. So now we have one that is, I think, compliant. It's 430 lumens.
Okay. Do we have any?
Yes, that's it. That's the light bulbs.
Okay, and do we have a location of these lights?
Yeah, there was a map that there should be another map.
Yeah, so if we just can put it on the screen so all commissioners
There it is.
and the public can see it.
Yeah. So right there, that's the screen porch. That's where the ceiling fan and the 2 recessed lights should be.
Okay. Are those the only ones or there are more?
That's the front porch. That'll be 2 more recessed lights right there. And then there's a rear porch off the kitchen, which two more recessed lights. And then off the garage is a little gable roof that is a single. I'll go back to the other floor plan. Right here, there's a recessed light over this door. Right there, yeah. And then on the back of the house next to the, there's another recessed light right there. And then on the detached garage, we stuck with the original lights that were approved, but they were on the side walls and they were lower. And the garage had swing doors. I don't think anybody realized that. So they would have smashed into the lights. So we took, instead of having 2 there, we just did 1 up above the door, which is way up in the ceiling. I don't think you'll ever even see it. So it's up above the door right there. It's up pretty high. It's just the original light that was approved. It's just 1 of them over each door, but not over the garage door, just over the man door. And that's it.
Okay, very good. And you were saying that there had been some light fixtures that were too powerful, and I understand that now they are below 430 or below 300 or at 300.
They're 430.
430. Okay, so none of them go at 950 as it had been submitted initially.
No.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. I'll ask members of the commission to comment. Tim Whitney.
Mark, the 2 lights on the garage, you said those are previously approved and they're tucked up under a sloped ceiling or something?
Correct.
And the others are all in flat soffits, it appears?
The others are in flat soffits.
On the house.
Correct.
So all the house fixtures are the same downlight of the 430 or whatever lumens, and then you got the 2 previously approved garage fixtures on the garage and just in slightly different locations, I guess. Correct?
Correct.
I don't have any other questions or comments. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tim. Paul.
I don't really have any comments or questions.
Thanks very much, Paul. Melinda.
I think this is all fine and minor, and I have no problems with it.
Thanks very much, Walter.
Looks very straightforward. I'm fine with it all.
Thanks, Kate.
Now that the lumens have been adjusted, I have no comment.
Thanks very much. And I have no comments either, except to echo Kate, that the lumens have been adjusted. Any comments from the public? Okay, in the absence of public comments, I'll ask the commission for a motion to approve with conditions, reject or continue the application of 155 Monument Street.
I vote that we move to approve the application for 155 Monument Street as submitted with the 430 lumens per fixture.
A second?
I will second. I think, Kate, you meant you move as opposed to you vote. So just
Oops.
so the record's clear, that was a motion to approve, Kate.
Oh, you're right.
With that amendment, I agree.
So I'll ask the voting members to vote. Kate,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So thanks very much, Mr. Brennan, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next application is military offices, 97 Lower Road, the Main Street Historic Districts, to expand existing dormers other skylights and incorporate required roof penetrations for venting. Mr. Who do I see?
Yeah, can you hear me? This is Jim White.
Yeah, Mr. White. I thought that I had seen you before. Welcome, Mr. White.
Thank you. Nice to see you all again. I don't see me, but I guess that doesn't really matter.
Well, we always miss your
Well,
your geniality.
if I knew what button to push, I would, but so if you'll forgive me, I'll just continue this way. Ed Nunes, who's my architect, is on. You can see him. Let me briefly explain what's happening. We're taking the third floor of the office building at Millbrook Terry at 97 Lowell Road and proposing to convert the entire floor to apartments. It will be a total of seven apartments. There's no demand for office space these days, as everybody knows, and there's a big demand for apartments. What we're essentially doing is expanding the dormers, and we'll be putting in some skylights and some venting for toilets and so forth. But you can see from Ed's drawings what's going on. I think I'll stop because it's pretty self-evident, and for technical questions, Ed can take over and answer any of the architectural questions you may have.
Well, actually, why don't you show us the plans and the elevations so we can see exactly what we're planning to do. I understand that they are in the website.
Yeah, I'm sorry, say that again, please.
If we could show the plans and elevations, can we do that? And
Yeah, the elevations. Yeah. Have you got the plans there?
I'm sorry, it seems on my screen that I am sharing it. You all can't see it?
no, we cannot see.
All right, let me try again.
I can see it.
I can see it.
So do I.
No, I can't see it.
All right, let me try again.
I can't see it either.
Used to be able to see it.
I cannot see it.
Let
Do
me
you
see
see
if
it
I
now?
can see it. Okay, now I can see it.
Okay, Ed, do you want to go ahead and explain it?
Sure. So Ed Nunes from EFN Architects. What you're looking at is on the top of the page, the proposed elevation on Lowell Road. Below that is the existing elevation. So you can see that on the existing, the one below the top elevation, we had 3 dormers with some shallow sloped hipped roofs on them. What we're proposing is to add pretty much double each dormer on the top elevation, create more of a shed dormer. And visually, it won't really change much, except that the dormer is getting a little larger. If you look at the photographs we have from grade, you're not going to see much roof similar to what you have now. There will be some, a shed roof. We're looking to pretty much match the existing building, color white. Windows, we're going to match, assuming we can find them to match. I don't think we'll have a problem with that. And we're really not trying to do anything earth shattering. We're just trying to blend to the existing building and not cause any ruckus, if you will, with historic. The other elevation is on, I believe, Keys Road. Again, in this elevation, we're really just taking the 2 dormers that you see to the right on the lowest elevation, and we're basically joining those 2 dormers to create another shed dormer to give us the space we need to create the apartments that are being proposed inside. And that's really it. I mean, we're trying to be, respectful of the building. It's a modest design. We're not trying to over design anything. And we're proposing to match pretty much the materials that are there now.
Thanks very much, Mr. Nunes. I'll ask members of the commission for comments. Kate?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have no comment. I think the design is appropriate for the scale of the structure and for the kind of content of the neighborhood.
Thanks very much. Walter?
Pretty much agree with what Kate's saying.
Thank you, Melinda.
I think actually add a little more interest to the building, to tell you the truth. So I'm fine with it.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Yes, I guess irrelevant to our jurisdiction, but has landscaping been thought about to gussy it up a little bit?
Well, landscaping in what sense?
Any trees and any additional trees, any greenery, any punctuation
Residential
True.
niceties.
through living matter?
Paul, I don't think so. We've looked at it. There's 23,000 feet of open space on the site. And we've got planted a lot of greenery in connection with, the development of the site. I think at the moment for this third floor, frankly, never occurred to me to do any landscaping for it.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any questions about what you proposed.
Thanks very much, Paul. Tim.
No, I think the shed dormers, I think actually look even better. And my only comment is what is often left behind are just coordination of plumbing vents and roof vents, and those can get pretty scattered on the roof. And I would just suggest that thought be given to where those are placed relative to the dormers, so they're not just scattered around, being put where plumbers decide they're the most convenient, because you may be adding a lot more plumbing vents on Lowell Road, and they tend to distract from you got a nice clean facade there. So that's a question and a comment, I guess.
I agree with you. Well, we will, I have no interest in having them pop up all over the place either. So we will pay attention to that.
Yeah, we'll be coordinating with our consulting engineers to be sure that it comes up in sort of an orderly way for sure. That's something that we always try to do.
I don't have any other comments. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tim. I don't have no comments. I don't have any comments. I think that this is an improvement over what it's there, but I will echo Paul's comment about landscape, and I would not frame them precisely on landscape, but I will mention that the facade of this building towards Lowell Road is kind of stark. So the applicant may consider in the future to have some elements that will break that starkness, because I think that what's being done right now, it's exactly that, you see, and it improves the building by making less continuous, to say so. So just changing something by putting, it could be anything, could be temporary planters or anything of that sort, could be beneficial from aesthetic standpoint, but certainly I don't have any questions about the design itself. I will ask for public comments. If there are no public comments, I will ask for a vote from the commission, but I will make the caveat that we will need from the applicant a very specific specs on the dimension of the installed skylights, because as he has stated, they may differ from the dimensions shown on the plan. So in order for this application be approved correctly, the commission will need to have that information on file by the time that it is installed. Is that acceptable to you, Mr. White?
Yes, yes, it is fine. That's fine.
Thanks very much. That being the case, then I will ask for a motion from the commission to approve, reject, approve with conditions, or continue the application of 97 Low Road.
I will move that we approve the application for certificate of appropriateness as submitted, subject to the chair's request for some detail and follow up on the skylights and perhaps the dormers themselves.
Thanks very much. A second?
I'll second.
All right, I will go first, Tim, Paul,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. So thanks very much, Mr. White, Mr. Nunes, and we look forward to making that building nicer than what it is.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank
You're
you.
almost welcome.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Okay, the next application, it's Daryl and Andrew Petter, 252 Main Street, to install a bluestone patio. Mr. Petter is here, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
If you would be so kind to present what you're planning to.
Sure. Is there a document to share from your side?
Can we, yeah, there's a.
Okay,
window
thank
to
you.
share it.
Thanks. Yes, so there's two documents. So I'm getting some feedback. So there's two documents. This one shows photos, and the other one's got a picture of the bluestone itself. So this is the current patio that we did when we did the major renovations a few years ago. And the request is that we effectively extend this. So this is the taken from Google. So the blue square is of the new patio. The photo below this is that's a bit more detail of the current bluestone imaging, so we'll just be extending that by the dimensions we submitted. The previous document with the photos, we deliberately took it from the river. Thank you. So if you go, so this one is kind of the river really drops away from where this picture is taken from. So this is kind of the highest point of the river. Of the backyard. That's the lowest bit. But the point of showing you this is the smaller house to the right. Just on the right of that house, you'll see what are they? They're hydrangeas. So there's a little bluestone patio there, and ours will be. So if you follow the fence line of Concord Academy on the left there up, and you've got the ginkgo tree just in front of the house there. So it basically sits halfway between that ginkgo tree and the current patio. So again, this picture is taken from the highest point of that riverbank. So this is still on our property. But if you go to the second photo in this document, you'll see that, obviously it's getting harder and harder to see. So I don't think you're going to be able to see it from the river at all, but maybe there'll be a tiny bit of brickwork, but it's just the same brickwork that can be seen there today. It's just going to be, I think it's 19 feet closer, which in the scale of this yard is clearly not very much. So the bluestone that that got approved the last time is the same bluestone we're going to use here. There is significant delays apparently on supply, so we may have to change it. Obviously, if we do, then we'll come back to you to present that. But the plan is to use the bluestone that you see here, and that's it.
Well, thanks very much, Mr. Petter. I'll ask members of the commission for comments. Kate?
No further questions.
Thanks very much. Walter?
It looks fine to me.
Paul?
I just don't think it's visible, so I don't think there's an issue here at all. But can you tell me what the square footage is of the extension, or the length and width, some dimensions of that? I don't quite understand.
We did submit that, but for some reason you're not seeing that. Let me, from memory, it's 19 by 13 feet. It's not very big. Let me just try and find this.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
He did.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to find it on my email. Sorry. Yes, here you go. So it's 19 feet by 16 and a half.
Okay,
So
all right.
Yeah, the top there, that's the existing one you can see. So that the picture I took of the corner is that on that left-hand side there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's the living room. So
Thanks very much. Tim,
No, I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you.
thanks very much. Melinda,
I think this will be great. You'll be able to put some furniture out there and really enjoy the space. I think it's terrific. No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks
That is
very much.
absolutely correct.
I have no objections at all. I think that we're reviewing this because I think that if you are a very, very tall person and you are going on a canoe and stand on that, then you may be able to see a glimpse of that. But I think that we're also an improvement, so I have no questions at all. Any public comments? If there are no public comments, I'll ask the commission for a vote about the application of 252 Main Street, which can be to approve, reject, continue, or approve with conditions.
I move that we approve the application as submitted for 252 Main Street.
Second,
second,
Kate,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Paul,
yes, aye.
Tim.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Well, thanks very much. And we shall look forward to not being able to see your patio.
Thank you very much. Good night.
The next application is Elizabeth Stone and Jordan Goen, 54 Lexington Road, the Northbridge Monument Square Historic District, to change door color and replace lighting. Mr. Goen is here.
Hello,
Welcome.
can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Yeah, just to provide a little context, we are requesting, as you said, two decisions. The first is to paint the color of our front door, a change from sort of a slight salmon red to Pharaoh and Ball's monkey puzzle. The intention of that is really just to remain sort of classic and historically respectful, and just kind of update the paint color there to a sort of a darker green. And the second one is to update the sconces flanking the door. The current fixtures are damaged, so we need to replace them. So we're choosing to provide a more updated version of the lantern while still being historically, obviously, respectful to the beauty of the house and the neighborhood surrounding it. So yeah, that's the context.
And that's the swatch. It's called
Yes.
Monkey Puzzle. I'm sure there's a reason that they call it Monkey Puzzle, but I don't know what it is.
Couldn't tell you that.
Okay, so it's basically replacing the scones by different ones and painting the door of a different color. All right, I'll ask members of the commission for comments. Kate?
As someone with an elephant's breath dining room, I fully approve of Monkey Puzzle front door from Pharaoh and Ball, and I have no questions. The Chapman light fixtures will be appropriate.
Thanks very much, Kate. Walter?
Once again, I agree with what Kate has said. Maybe the puzzle is why it's monkey.
Melinda?
I think it's just fine. I have no objections.
Paul?
I have no comments either.
Tim?
I think it looks good. Thank you.
And I have no comments either. So are there any comments from the public? In the absence of public comments, I'll ask the commission for a motion to approve with conditions, reject or continue the application of 7 Lexington Road. 2 to 6 Lexington Road, sorry.
54.
54 Lexington Road.
I move that we approve. I move that we approve the application for a certificate of appropriateness to paint the front door the color that's been submitted and to replace sconces at 54 Lexington Road.
Second?
Second.
Right. Melinda?
Second or I?
No, you are, it's already seconded by. Aye. Okay, Paul,
Aye.
Tim? Tim,
Who was that?
Aye.
okay. Now,
Tim or Kate?
Tim?
Aye.
Tim first, and now Kate,
Aye.
and I'm an I as well.
All right.
So thanks very much, and we look forward to see the monkeys, I mean, the painting in your.
All right. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, the next application is a continued public hearing, which is the First Parish Unitarian Church, 226 Lexington Road, to construct an accessible entry addition to the Right Tavern, Pocket Park, and other associated landscape changes. And it is my understanding that the applicant has requested a withdrawal without prejudice. I just want the town planner and Clifford to confirm that this is the case.
Yes, that's accurate.
All right, so I will ask the voting members of the commission to approve the withdrawal of the application of 226 Lexington Road. Let's start with Kate.
I approve.
Melinda,
I approve.
Paul,
Yes, approved.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm a yes as well. So this application is withdrawn. The next application, it's Pat Nelson, 1300. The next continued application is Pat Nelson, 1300 Main Street, to install a shed at the Concord's Children's Center. And I'll ask again the town planner, Ms. Clifford, to clarify whether this application is actually going to be considered tonight.
Yes, it will be considered. This is a continuance from a previous meeting.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I had some confusion about whether there were some other issues with it. All right, so is Mrs. Nelson here?
Hi, I'm Penny Hensley Wagner, and Pat Nelson is not on this evening. I'm here for Concord Children's Center in her place.
Welcome, Mrs. Hensley Wagner. If
Thank you.
Were going to present the application, we're familiar with it, as I remember mentioning the citing of the shed and other issues.
Yes,
Please go ahead.
yes. So we have a new plan, a different location, which we are submitting this evening, which is, as you can see, at the corner of the building. This is an 8 by 10 foot shed, which will house our strollers for our infants and toddlers. It would require to move the fence back 3 feet and to put it in this location. And this has been approved by the deputy town manager, Megan Zamuto. So we're here tonight to get your approval and to answer your questions. The building would be clapboard, which is the same as the current structure at 1300 Main that we're in. And it would be painted the same color as the building, and the roof would match as well.
I'm
And
surprised.
those are the pictures of the siting,
Historical.
and you're saying that it will match exactly what it's already there.
Correct.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. I'll ask members of the commission for comments. Kate? You're muted, Kate?
Yeah, okay. And I looked on our website and I didn't see anything. Is there any more visuals for trying to imagine the scale of this shed into the spot where it's proposed? I don't think there are.
Can you
No,
back
they
to the picture,
photos.
the photo?
Hold on, I'll show you the photos that they provided.
I mean, yeah,
Do you see so you see the fence, and do you see in the left-hand side, there's a planter box there?
Sort of.
yes, in the far left.
The brown, yes, right there, thank you. The shed would go just short of that.
So the shed would, the
So the-
entrance shed would be,
On
Or
the playground side. Where it
Right.
says 10 feet there.
so the shed, so the planter is right in front of, is theoretically in front of that shed, or the planter is the end of that shed, the back of that shed?
Right where she has the arrow right now is where that planter is. And
Okay.
that planter doesn't need to stay there. It's just,
Right,
as you
no.
were asking where it is, that's a good point of reference.
Okay, so then the shed, the back end of the shed exists past the current, extending parameter of the children's center, right? But the fence will run along there.
It's the same 20-foot setback as the building.
Okay. No further questions. I was just I just didn't know if we'd had a rendering that showed it. Not bird's eye view, but. And how tall is the shed as opposed to the roof, the fascia roof there? I'm just,
It's probably, I don't know specifically.
okay. All right, I'll pass this along to my fellow commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much, Kate. Tim,
Could we go back to the site plan, Anne, if you would, thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. I guess I think the previous submission was pretty similar in location to this. Maybe it
It
was
was,
right. Yeah.
it was at the other edge of the playground. Oh, sorry.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Tucked into a corner.
yeah, it was in the back.
So where is it going now? Based on this site plan?
Yes, right. Yes. Right there.
So it's been moved. Main Street is to the left, correct?
Correct.
So it's right at the intersection of Main and Church.
Correct. It's a 20-foot setback from Main and 23-foot setback from Church.
So it's been moved from the red dot to left to, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's just my opinion is it's an even worse location than before. I'm sorry to say, but it's even become closer to the most prominent corner. And I think we were trying to get the shed away from this nice facade, whether it's on Main Street or on Church Street. That's my concern is we're moving it from one prominent corner to another even more prominent corner. I apologize for misreading the site plan, but that seems like that's what's going on, if I'm not mistaken. So, and to paint it to match the building, you almost want it to be just a different kind of thing rather than trying to blend into a building that's already kind of designed. So I'll turn it over to other commissioners here for their comments.
Thanks very much, Tim. Melinda.
I have to see a site visit for this. I am sorry, but I cannot quite gather it from the pictures. And I'm not, I think we just have to take a look. Because I don't know if it's gonna ruin the front of Main Street. And if you think that church is better to, but I've got to see it.
I agree.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Walter?
I think prominent is the word. That's what I was going to say. It's gone from a more hidden, problematic position to something that's front and center. I am a little, I'm concerned that the overall presentation doesn't include the past locations and the amount of information that we had about location and possibilities at that point. It seems that it's been taken to a worse place without any background. So I am not in favor of it where it is, because I was concerned about where it had been positioned before and was wondering if it could even be moved around to the parking lot side. So I don't think that it's a step forward at this point.
The reason we've chosen this particular area is because that's our infant and toddler playground. And this is for safety reasons and accessibility for the infants and toddlers coming in and out. This is why we have chosen this particular place.
I do understand that, but as a commissioner on the Historic Commission, the number one responsibility, certainly we want to be concerned about the safety of children, but the number one responsibility is the integrity of the surroundings there, which is why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Walter. Paul?
I agree with Walter and Bill, but I'm interested in the applicant's view of how this is an improvement from the prior site. What was achieved by this proposed submission?
My understanding was that where it was before was there was felt that it would impair the view of the Harvey Wheeler building. And so this does not impair the view of the Harvey Wheeler building.
Whose view was going to be impaired, if I may, if you can remind me?
My understanding is it's the public as they went by.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, in any event, I agree with the observation that this is not a particularly good location. So hopefully we can maybe find something that is. But I share the other commissioners' views that probably a site visit's appropriate, because we might be spinning our wheels right now.
Thanks very much, Paul. My only comment is that I think that we're struggling as a commissioner, or commissioners are struggling, is to see to what extent this new structure either maintains or provides a historic reference. And then we're talking about references to what was the location before, and whether it obstructed the Harvey Wheeler house, or whether now it detracts from the structure of the main building. And I think that none of those issues may be answered without a site visit. So I believe that a site visit would be appropriate. So before I ask for public comments, would that be agreeable to the applicant, Mrs. Hensley Wagner, that we do a site visit? It would happen probably 2 weeks. No, actually, in our next meeting, which will be the first Thursday of August. Would that be appropriate?
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay, so I'll ask for any public comments about this application. Are there any public comments? In the absence of
just procedurally, I wanted to mention that this is very close to the end of the 60-day review period. So, and they've actually filled out previous extensions, which go through August 3rd, which I think is the date of the next meeting. So they would absolutely have to have, another extension submitted before that time.
Okay, but so far we would be within the period, right? In other
Yes,
words,
yep.
okay.
Mhm.
So we appreciate the warning. So I will ask the commission for a motion, and we understand that the applicant has agreed to have a continuance. So I would ask the commission for such motion.
So you want me to do it? I move that we grant an extension to the applicant for 1300 Main Street to August 3, and that a site visit be arranged with respect to the location of the shed at the Children's Center.
Thanks very much, Paul. Second?
Second.
All right, many people seconded it. So Kate,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I as well. So we look forward to see you on August 3rd, I believe, at 8 in the morning. And we will generate the appropriate agenda for that purpose. Thank you very much, Mrs. Hensley Wagner.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you then.
See you then. So the next continued public hearing is the First Parish of Concord, One Church Green American Mile Historic District to replace windows, clapboards, and trim. And I understand that, let's see. Is the applicant here? Is this application being considered today, Anne, or are we having any changes?
I see Don Kingman's name.
Oh, it's on Don Kingsman. Okay, so Don is here.
Yes, I am.
Welcome, Mr. Kingman.
Thank you again. Don Kingman, 166 Main Street, representing Concord Academy. I'd like to give you an update on where we are with some of the plans that you approved last fall for what we're referring to as the West Campus project.
But hold for a second. I think that we are confused because I think that we were referring to the application of One Church Green.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is that correct, Ms.?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That application was withdrawn. So the third revision of the agenda included
Okay. All right.
They requested a continuance. I'm sorry.
I apologize. So is that the First Parish application is being withdrawn, or?
No, sorry, for clarification, the First Parish had two continuances on the agenda. They withdrew the Wright Tavern continuance, and then they asked for a continuance without discussion to the meeting of August 17th on One Church Green.
Okay, we'll take one by one. And the first one that we're going to take is the First Parish of Concord, One Church Green. And they are requesting that we continue the application. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so I will ask the commissions for a vote on continuing the application of
7:30.
One Church Green. Is there a motion?
I move that we continue the application with respect to One Church Green
Right.
to the meeting of August 17, 2023.
All right.
Actually, I think it was the meeting of August 3rd. I'm sorry.
August 3rd, they want to the next meeting, okay.
I thought the request was for the 17th, or maybe I didn't hear that correctly.
No, I misspoke. The next item on the agenda requested an extension through the 17th. So, but this one requested one through the 3rd. There's been a lot of changes this week. Everyone's going on vacation, I guess.
Okay, so.
Accordingly, I move that with respect to the application of First Parish or regarding the property at One Church Green, that we continue that matter to August 3, 2023.
Second,
And
Isn't even in this.
Melinda seconded, so I'll ask Kate.
Aye.
Melinda,
I,
Paul,
Aye.
Tim. We didn't hear. Did you vote yes, Tim?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. And I am a yes as well. So this application will be continued to August 3rd. The next application is Jonathan Kais, 91 Liberty Street, Northbridge Monument Square Historic District, and the applicant has requested a continuance without discussion to the meeting of August 17th. So I'll ask the commission for a motion to continue the application of 91 Liberty Street to August 17th, 2023.
I move that we continue the application of Jonathan Kais regarding the property at 91 Liberty Street to the meeting of August 17, 2023.
Second?
Aye. Whoops.
Okay. All right. So, Tim,
Aye.
Paul,
Yes, aye.
Melinda,
I,
Kate,
Aye.
and I'm an aye, I'm a yes as well. I'm an aye as well. Thanks very much. So now we will continue into the other business. And now we have Mr. Kingman, who can talk about 166 Main Street for paving modifications.
Thank you. So, as I started to say beforehand, this is a modification of the approvals that you gave us in the fall of 2022, mostly around some landscaping, and a little bit of hardscaping. We'd like to submit the plans to you. I'm happy to go through those, but I'd like to take direction from the chair on how you'd like me to proceed.
If you can present a very quick summary of what are the changes that you are proposing, that will be very helpful.
Probably best to show the material that we submitted.
That's right. That's right.
Keep going down one more. Is there any possibility to zoom in there on, whoops. I'm looking for the red boxes. I'll use my printed material to try to keep pace with what's on the screen. So right here on this diagram, you see on the left-hand side, the bubble diagram. It's a series of, I guess they're overgrown evergreens in that area. And we'd like to think about removing those. Having said that, we wanted to open up the V corridor through the core part of campus. But I would like to amend that if I could, and maybe have some flexibility to keep some of those there as a screening, but also provide some access for some utilities that we have going in there. The other modification is down in that area there. That's where we'd like to remove those trees to create that view corridor. And then farther on the right-hand side at the top of the senior steps is the copper beech that we have been trying to save over the years, and it's just not going to make it. We have an arborist report saying it should be removed. So we'd like to remove that tree also. This is a close-up of the Academy Village. We'd like to simplify the pedestrian walkways. We've already talked to you about moving 220 Main Street further to the east. And what we're doing is showing you a change of grades here. And then also that walkway as it crosses the driveway as it goes behind 220 Main Street will be pulled a little bit further towards the parking lot. Yeah, and further down is 228 Main Street. We originally had, as you came in off the Phelps, what we call the Phelps lot, it would have a dog leg that would go to the left to connect to that driveway. This is at a school's house, and so he's agreed that there's a short area. I want to say it's about maybe 35, 40 feet of natural material that we'd like to pave over so he'd have direct access going into his driveway without going through the west gate, the Phelps parking lot, which also reduces the amount of asphalt that we have. This involves really around Academy Garden. Initially, we had proposed a double row of trees. We'd like to have a single row of trees. These trees we will limb up around 6 feet or so to help provide a definition of the space. And then in addition to that, we're looking at to have some asphalt with some granite curb going in there just from a maintenance perspective. Part of that is going to go, it was, I think, stone dust, and now we're looking to have it be paved with a granite curb that would edge around that. You can go to the next one, and yeah, there's Academy Garden. Continue down one. I'm sorry. So right at the bottom of that, this is the Phelps parking lot. We had initially proposed a double row of privet hedges. We'd like to get permission to do a single row of privet hedges, which matches more what we have going along the frontage of Concord Academy. The next one down. This is just really starting to show the plant material change. Overall, the plant material that we're proposing in this project, we're a little under 200 odd plants that we were planting. We're looking to upgrade that to about 250. And some of that is by reducing the caliber size of the plant size, but creating more density. I think that's it. And I'm not sure there's one more or not.
That's it.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Mr. Kingman. The bottom line is that these are some changes in the hardscape, which is just the pathways that have some changes in grade and some changes in materials. And there are some trees to be removed. So there are some landscape changes and some rows to be added and some of them to be removed and trees to be removed. Most of it seems to be more of landscape and vegetation changes than actually build construction. As a clarification, Anne, was there a requirement for particular forms of landscape when the application was approved initially? I don't believe so.
No, I think typically plant material is not really reviewed by HDC, but they may require screening, and you did not require any sort of screening in the last one. So I would think that the change is really to the paving that relates mostly to HDC.
Yes, I do not remember making any conditions in terms of screening and so forth in the original application. So I don't believe that we have any objection or any purview on the matter of the trees that should be removed and those that are going to be added or not included. So I'll ask the commission for comments about these proposed changes. Kate.
If I can ask Don a question. Don, were these, I went on a tour of this site about 2 months ago, and were these changes in place then?
No,
No.
this is really final landscape material. The only trees, there's 2 series of trees or groves, if you will, one behind the head of school's house at 220, series of evergreens that we protected. And then the other set is right there, just to between 220 Main Street and Phelps House, where there's a large arborvitae grove going in there. Those are the only changes that we're proposing right now. The rest of it will be final landscape material.
Oh, okay, all right, because yeah, I remember having some questions about some stuff then, and it all made sense. So that was my only question. I've seen some of these plans to my fellow commissioners, and it might sound like a lot that's coming up, but it sort of makes sense.
Thanks very much, Kate. Walter?
Can I agree with Kate one more time? That's what I'm going to do.
Thanks very much. Melinda?
Well, you always do such a good job of presenting all these things, and I have no problem whatsoever. I am kudos to you for being able to raise the money to continue to do all these beautiful improvements to your school, and I think it's great.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Paul?
I don't have any questions or comments.
Thanks very much, Timothy.
Yeah, the same for me. I was not involved with the original site plan, so it's a bit hard for me to follow all the changes and impact, but they seem pretty subtle, and I'm trusting the other members here, so I don't have any comments.
I echo, thank you very much, Tim. I echo my fellow commissioners. I have no comments. I think it's fine. So I will ask the commission for a motion to approve administratively or approve the changes proposed to the application to amend the certificate of 166 Main Street with the changes as proposed.
I move that we amend the certificate for 166 Main Street. Amend it with the landscape modifications as proposed.
And hardscape.
And hardscape. Gosh, I just can't get it tonight. Okay.
Thank you,
Second.
Kate. A second? Melinda seconded. So Tim,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Melinda,
Hi.
Kate,
Aye.
and I'm an I as well. Thanks very much, Mr. Kingman. We look forward to the next change so we can have a look at beautiful drawings.
I'm sure we'll become close acquaintances in the future. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks very much. The next issue, another business, is the Town of Concord and Civil War Monument Task Force, the Civil War Soldiers Monument, the North Bridge Monument Square Historic District, to preserve and conserve the monument and replace the tablet to include Private George W. Dugan, the 54th Mass Volunteer Corps. Welcome, Mrs. Van Duzer. I'll make the comment that we discussed this application back in 2021, and there were a number of very interesting opinions. Many of the commissioners that are currently serving the commission were not at that time. So it may be helpful to review what the issues were.
So the 2021 application was not this. That was something different.
Okay, well, we discussed an application in 2021 to add the name of George Washington Dugan to the plaque. I'm not referring that this is the same thing, but actually it seems to fulfill the same purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that having the information of what we mentioned before will be helpful to consider the proposal that you have, taking into account that this is not a formal application. This is a sort of a opportunity for comments.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in 2021, so I can't give any information on that. That was before the Civil War Task Force was created. That was, I believe, Tish Hopkins, the cemetery supervisor, was involved with that, but it was before the Civil War Monument Task Force. So I can't speak to that. I can speak to what we're doing now.
Okay, well, why don't you let us know what are you planning to do so we can express our opinions? Go ahead, Paul. You have to make a note.
Well, I guess I'm a little confused, but are we sure we have anything to do here? In other words, other than the adding of the name of Mr. Dugan, what are we doing?
Well, I'll clarify the point. I think that it's a change in a structure that is in the public view. So we have to, as a historic district commission, we have purview over it. So at some point, there has to be a formal application and a certificate of appropriateness has to be issued. When this was presented in 2021, that was what was done. There was a certificate of request for a certificate of approval, and the application eventually was discontinued or not considered further. So I think that it's very helpful that we have the opportunity to discuss what is being planned right now and to express our opinions, because this is just a matter of presenting our points of view. It's not binding in any way. It's just an informal conversation with what we expect to be a future applicant for a certificate of appropriateness.
I'm confused only because our notes indicate that it's unclear whether any kind of public hearing is required, but am I missing something?
Well, I think that I just said that a public hearing will be required when they add the name of George Washington Dugan to that plan.
Would you like me to chime in or not?
Please chime in, please.
Okay. Right, so this is an application to the CPC, so it is publicly funded. There's a MO, and as a requirement of the CPC, and for any project that is a historic preservation project that is funded with community preservation funds throughout the state, there's a requirement that it meet the Secretary of the Interior standards. We thought it would be wise for Beth to present the project as a whole, since it's not simply a change in the plaque. There's also a preservation project involved. The HDC wouldn't need to weigh in or have any sort of regulatory review over the preservation aspects of the project, but the change in the plaque is actually a change in appearance. We just wanted to be sure that everyone is involved, and this is a very prominent structure, obviously, with national significance right in the middle of the town of Concord and in the middle of the historic district. So we want to make sure everyone's on this, boards and committees are for this, and also that we meet the Secretary of the Interior standards. I don't know if you all saw the little addendum to my staff notes, which I sent in the email later in the day today. Beth and I spoke about it this morning, about the Secretary of the Interior standards. In those standards, I should read them actually. Let me just grab it. They don't want you to sort of, let me just grab this. Here it is. Okay, so this is a abbreviated version of the standards. Changes that create a false sense of historical development shall not be undertaken, and the new work shall be differentiated from the old. So it just dawned on me that, if you're replacing a historic plaque with one that is slightly different and not providing some sort of date or some sort of disclosure that there's a change, then you would be, in fact, violating those standards. So I think that a simple solution would just be simply adding a tiny little date, it would be up to the committee to determine where that date does appear, but it should be there somewhere on the plaque. Just as, otherwise it's, in the world of conservation, they have similar standards. And if you don't do this, it's almost a forgery. So, we just want to be honest to people and make sure everybody realizes it's not something that actually dates to 1860 something. And Beth would have those dates for you. And she can certainly
They're
elaborate.
they're on the slides or whatever it is, if you want to put that up, if people want to know what this is.
Well,
Definitely.
I'll just try to put the discussion in context. This is an informal presentation, number one, so we're not going to make any decisions. But I think that we should advise the applicant about a future application and what would be the requirements that that application would have to have in order to be successful with the HTC. And I think that our town planner, Mrs. Clifford, has stated very clearly some requirements that we have to fulfill, which are those determined by the Secretary of Interior, which I will not go into any detail because we all have them in some of the correspondence that was issued before this meeting. So I'll ask Beth to make a presentation of what is planned, and then I'll ask the members of the commission to express their opinions and advise Mrs. Van Duzer about what would be issues that would be important for them. You want to go ahead? Beth? Thank you.
I can share the screen.
So the project, are you guys getting feedback too?
Yes, a lot of feedback.
I don't know.
I'll mute myself just in case.
I could tell you all to read it yourself if there's still feedback. We are going to replace the current tablet. Currently, there are 48 soldiers' names on there. We are going to have a 49th soldier's name put on there. This is the third tablet currently that is on the monument. It is not the original. So we are proposing for a fourth tablet. They've changed out in the past. There's also need of preservation and conservation. This has never been preserved or conserved since it was built in 1867. And there it is in Monument Square. Pictures. More pictures. Just what it looks like. It was cleaner. It's not as clean now. And then there's a picture of the plaque. All right. And then this is what we are proposing. This is an EPS file, but I can't open an EPS file. So this is a PDF of an EPS file. And the only thing we're doing is adding 54th Mass Vols, George W. Dugan. All right. That's like the Reader's Digest version of what's going on. So, any questions?
Hi. Oh, wait, let me put my face on. Hi there. Just a question more as an interested member of the public than wearing my HTC hat, but so Private Dugan will be the only 54th Mass Falls entry, right?
Correct.
And is there, this is just a total flyer, again, not under the HTC purview, but since we're just having a friendly chat, he's George Washington Dugan.
Correct.
Would you ever consider using his whole name? I know most of the others don't have their whole names, but since a lot of freed slave families or, African-American families named themselves or named their kids after earlier great Americans, I just thought that would be interesting.
We chose not to. Number one, there might not be enough room to fit the whole name. It's kind of long. But number two, I think one of the only other people that has the middle name, I think there's maybe two. One of them's a Hosmer. So I think they had to throw Hosmer in. So
yeah, I saw that there were two, and well, that okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, no questions.
Thank you.
I actually do have a question. How, if this is going to be the fourth plaque, the fifth plaque?
Four.
The fourth. How many changes happened in the past
Oh, let me see. Hold
plaques.
on.
Have any of them been revised through time? And I'm asking that because if the argument is that it should be documented that this was an added name at this point, I'm wondering how many other names have been added through time and whether it would be appropriate to make note of those changes in time as well or not. And it bears in some ways how this would be marked as a change. That first thought was, put a little star after it or so with a, added with the date below.
We're gonna have a lot of stars.
Well, that's what I'm wondering how many,
All right.
what the revisions were and whether, if it's one name was added, or if it's 20 names added, then it's a whole different can of worms.
April 19, 1867, 32 names. March
Okay.
20, okay, that's the first one. Those are, no,
Got
that's the original. No, those are the original names.
Oh, that's the original, okay.
So then March 27, 1882, 11 names are added to the tablet. 1915, we have 5 names added to the tablet. And now 2023-ish, 1 more name will be added.
Well, that is problematic then, isn't it?
But these laws and guidelines from the Secretary of the Interior did not exist when these names were added. So we wouldn't, I don't think be required to asterisk everybody because it would be quite a few people. And the arrangement of the names have changed. So they weren't arranged in this order originally. This was changed by the I think the second or the third committee changed how the names were placed on the tablet.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to make life more difficult.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, okay. That the challenge is going to be if it is going to be documented with a date of the change, how that is actually put on the plaque and to honor the secretary's guidelines.
There is a lip, and a date could go on the lip. If we didn't want to put it on the plaque itself. David Wood said a foundry would have final say on it, but he doesn't think there would be an issue with stamping a date on the lip. Die cast or something. I'm a historian,
so not using the same plaque, because the plaque has to be changed.
Correct.
But just a different way of designating things that aren't names. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Is this a bronze plaque?
Correct.
And the old plaque will be removed, a new plaque of the same size will be installed, but all brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And the names that have been added are really just, they're just corrections in history, right? I mean, they were forgotten names that somehow, for whatever reason, I don't know the history of this person, but this is the most up-to-date correct list as it stands.
Yeah. I haven't found anyone else.
Yeah. So I don't know why you'd want to flag out why when people are added. That's just my personal opinion. Just like they should have been part of the list from the beginning if you step back in the bigger picture, rightly so, but they weren't because history gets history gets more researched. And just curiosity, what happens with the old plaque? What's when these plaques are changed across the country? Is there an issue with this stuff, or is it just they take off the old plaque and you put a new one on, and that's the way it should be? I'm just wondering what.
In the past, in Concord, the plaques have been recycled. And the town gets, their $7 or whatever it is for the metal. So in the past, that is what has happened.
Okay, I'm just curious. Anyway, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Louis, we can't hear you. Louis, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be polite, You should. I'm sorry, Melinda, make comments, please. I'm sorry.
I have no objections. I think this is just fine.
Paul, you have any comments?
No substantive comment. I think maybe it would be a good idea to preserve the old plaque. Maybe the museum would be interested in.
The Concord
No.
Museum is not interested in it. Maybe the Sign Museum?
Well, I have sort of an instinctive reaction against tossing it out, melting it down. But I leave that to you. I don't really see what our jurisdiction is here. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
what
a
we're doing.
town's decision. Whatever the town says, I'll do. I'm easy.
Yeah. I
Nelson?
do think it's important. I do
Where
think it's
is it?
important. Okay, I guess I'll stop.
Thank you,
It
Paul.
could be melted and turned into the new plaque. couldn't it?
I don't think the Foundry will do that.
Okay, I just want to make some comments because I made some comments when we considered this application before. And I think that the comments that I'm going to make are important, of course, from my perspective, but they are all for you to assess them and to express your own opinion. I think there's a significant difference between everybody in that plaque and Private George Washington Dugan, which is the fact that Private Dugan was a black man. And I have to question, as a matter of principle, whether even if he had had all the documentation necessary to be on the plaque in 1867, 1882, 1915, he would have been added. And that is something that unfortunately is part of our history, and it's something that we cannot ignore. So I feel very strongly that we have to make that distinction, and that's what I expressed before. I said Private Dugan should be distinguished with an explanation or a star or something that gives a reference to the fact that he was only added to the plaque 150 years after the plaque was initially built. And that is part of our history. So that's a history that we cannot ignore. And that is exactly what the Secretary of the Interior guidelines is saying. I believe that just adding the name of George Washington Dugan will give the passerby the impression that all these people were more or less in the same bucket, to say so, that they were all considered the same, and that they all fought during the Civil War, and that they are all being memorialized in an equal way, but that is not the case. George Washington Dugan is speculative, I have to say, but most likely, and in the context of our history, probably would have been excluded from the plan. So I strongly believe that there should be some kind of a pathway for the observer that wants to consider this history, for the history to be available. And I don't think that that plaque provides that pathway. I think that there should be an asterisk by the name of George Washington Dugan that says added in 2023 or 24 or whenever this is going to be happening, because that will acknowledge that there's a sad history of social relations, which we don't remember with particular pride or celebration, and that is as much part of our history as it is all the other people that are in that flag. So I think, from my perspective, I believe that it's essential that the name of George Washington Dugan be distinguished one way or the other. And the argument's going to be, well, why don't we do that for the other 16 people that were added after the initial 32? Well, those 16 people were not black. I can guarantee you that. But Mr. Dugan was black, and Mr. Dugan had a history in Concord. which has been fairly well documented in many books and stories and relations. So I think that that's part of our history. So I personally would not be willing to vote in favor of a flag that just adds the name of George Washington Dugan. And in the same token, I would not have any objection to adding a little asterisk to 11 names and then maybe another different type of quote and then a different type of quote to all the names that had been added, and putting a explanation on the bottom says added 1882, added 1915, added 2025. So that's my opinion. That's what I expressed before. I put it in writing, and those who are interested in following it up, it's in the minutes of when we consider a similar application in 2021. So that's what I will encourage Beth, that the commission does. That
So let me just address one thing. So I gave I don't know if anyone was at the service that we had Saturday by the Monument Square for the tombstone that was installed for Private Dugan that is now in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, but I've been researching him for a while. But in 1838, 1840, and 1841, he was a registered voter in Concord, and so was his brother Elijah, and so was John Garrison. So to say that and he is part of the town. He works in town. He is, documented by different people in town. He's a voter in town. He owns property in our town, gets married in our town, is part of the poorhouse. He actually stays in the poorhouse. You can only be in the poorhouse if you're a resident of the town, when he's, I assume, ill. So he is definitely a part of the town, and he was fighting for equality. Part of me says, and actually I don't mind the date, but part of me and part of the argument might be, if you are separating him out with something, then where's the equality, right? If he's fighting to be equal, just like everybody else, for us to do something, is that the equal thing or not?
Well, the lack of equality is that he's not on the plaque, because after you just have said,
Oh, but he is not on the plaque. He is not on the plaque because he was missing. He was missing until 1932, and that was his official legal status. You can't put somebody on the plaque if they don't have a date of death. If you don't have a date of death, you can't do anything. You can't apply for pensions. You can't get them a tombstone. So in 1932, when the Adjutant General's office changed him to supposed killed, that changes everything. By then, we're done changing out the plaque. The last plaque was changed out in 1915. There's no family around. His brother, Elijah, was the last one living in town, dies in 1896. So they changed his status a little too late, except that we can now add him, which is a good thing.
And I would say that what is a good thing is to acknowledge that that there may be some other people where we're exactly in the same situation, whose names may have been added to the plaque. And of course, all this is a speculation. But I think that it's our responsibility to put this history in context. See, and there's a context by which George Washington Dugan was not your average Concord resident. He was a Black Concord resident, as it was until 1960, where there were things that were different from people who were Black or people who were not Black. So I think that it's important as citizens of Concord, consistent with the aspiration of our forefathers, and consistent with the spirit of justice and equality, that we recognize that George Washington Dugan probably was not, at least, in the very least, was not treated exactly the same as your average non-African-American Concord resident. And that the fact that he was not on the plaque because his documents were missing until 1932 may attest to that. But I think that it would be an excellent point to add that information, so people can realize that we may or may not have been committing an act on purpose. But if we did, we are willing to acknowledge that, and we're willing to acknowledge and not pleasant history from the foundation of our country. So that's all I have to say.
So do you want the plaque not to just be names?
No, I want the plaque to be names, and I want I believe that there are two options. One of them is to add a single calling, say, added 2025, or if you want to be equanimous, then you should add 16 of those calls, and a little thing on the bottom, added 1882, added 1915, added 2023. That would give the whole story, and it would be actually quite nice. Because, you know, it reflects another historical fact, which is that history is not fixed in stone from the time it's created. You see, history is sometimes revised, and what you see here in this plaque is that we're revising our history. We started with 32 Concord residents that fought in the Civil War, and then we added 11 more, and then we added 5 more. You see, and they are no less historical facts of that. Of course they were there. The fact that we recognize them X number of years later doesn't change the fact that they were there. George Washington Dugan was there, but we only found about that formally in 1932, and we only had the chance to add it in 2015. So that is part of our history.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you have some information about our opinions. I think that our opinions are diverse, and I trust that they are helpful.
No.
Does anybody want to make any other comments about the plaque in Monument Square?
I'm going to just throw out something quickly, which may or may not be helpful to anybody, but the wording of an asterisked or an addended version could tell a story. I wrote down omission redressed 2025. Now, if it was a conscious lack of listing, then that would make sense. I'm not clear, I guess, about the motivation for records not being found until 1932. Or something?
Well, no, he was listed as missing in action.
Yes. So the question then becomes: was there an ulterior driving motive or force behind that? If not, then it would be very interesting to know what the circumstances were that led him just to be missing. That's a whole other thing to try to uncover, I imagine.
Well, there were more than 50 people listed as missing. There was no Twitter. Yeah, there's no CNN, right? So all the information you're getting is, you know, from people, and it's what they're giving you. It's not necessarily the truth. So
right. Well,
I think it took a while to officially change it.
That's the crux of it. Was his missing not necessarily the truth? But that's a much bigger question. I guess all I'm saying is that there would be a way, if the wording were chosen carefully, to convey a little bit more clearly the motivation or lack of motivation for including or not including. That's all I have.
Thank you, Walter. If there are no other comments, I will express my gratitude to Beth for coming over here and asking for our opinion. And I trust that those comments are helpful, as I said before, and we look forward to considering an application to change the plaque of the Monument Square commemorating the people who fought in the Civil War. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The last point of our meeting tonight is a report of the vice chair about the chair's breakfast that took place last Wednesday, something like that. Or Melinda was kind enough to take over for me, as I was not physically present. And I asked her to make very quick comments about what was discussed, because apparently there were some very interesting topics of discussion there.
I promise to make it very quick. Actually, it was fascinating, and I didn't realize that these monthly meetings are open to the public, and I found it, I learned a lot, and I plan to go again, actually, and I think it would be a wonderful thing if each of us went at least once during the year, because it's just, we started off by having every single chair go through what they do. And there were a whole lot of chairs that I didn't realize were part of the town. And although the two topics that we were supposed to discuss, the MBTA NOVA requirement, as well as the code of ethics, we never even touched the code of ethics. We went through 8 people and all that they were doing until it was like my turn at the 9th, and there were like, I don't know, 15 people there who were chairs. And I brought up the MBTA only because I think we really need this. As a realtor, I know how short we are of housing for people to either downsize or for people who want something small to start with. And I did go through all of the website information on this, and I was incredibly impressed by the location that they're talking about to put this new structure. So at any rate, it went, people did start addressing that afterwards. And of course, there are many facets of this and chairs who are impacted by this. And so that was interesting too. It's not just slam dunk, although I wish this had been done on our own by the town like 4 or 5 years ago, but whatever. Anyways, it was very, very interesting. And like I said, I'd go again, and that's it.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Thanks for covering or substituting, etc. I don't think that we have any other topics, unless any members of the commission have anything that they want to add or discuss. That if there are no further discussions, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. I declare that it has been approved by unanimity. Well, thanks very much,
you.
everybody. Thanks for
Thanks,
partaking.
Thanks, Louise.
Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you, everybody.